is Lily. I married the wrong man. Now I regret it. I chose the rich man, not the kind man. Now I have money, but I have no love. I made a terrible mistake. I live in a very big house. The house is beautiful. It has many rooms. The windows are large. I can see a big garden from my window. The garden has many flowers. Red flowers, yellow flowers, and white flowers. Everything is perfect. Everything is clean. But this house is not a home. It is quiet. It is always quiet. My footsteps make a loud sound on the shiny floor. Echo, echo, echo. That is the only sound here. I have many beautiful clothes. My dresses are made of silk. They are soft and expensive. I have many shoes. I have jewelry. Diamonds shine on my neck. Gold is on my wrists. My husband, Richard, buys me these things. He says, "You are my beautiful wife. You must look good." So I wear the beautiful clothes. I wear the shiny jewelry. I look in the big mirror. I see a woman. She is pretty, but her eyes are sad. Her smile is not real. I do not know this woman. I feel like I am looking at a stranger. Richard is my husband. He is a rich man. He is very handsome. He has dark hair and blue eyes. When he smiles, people listen. He is important. He works all the time. He leaves early in the morning. He comes back late at night. Sometimes he does not come back at all. He travels for his work. He goes to faraway cities. He stays in big hotels. He eats at expensive restaurants. He tells me about his work. He talks about money. He talks about business. He never asks about me. He never asks, "Lily, how are you today? Are you happy?" He gives me his credit card. He says, "Buy something nice." I buy something nice. But the happiness is short. It goes away very fast, like a bubble pop. Before Richard, my life was very different. I lived in a small town. My family did not have much money. We lived in a small house, but our house was full of life. It was full of laughter. My mother was always cooking. The kitchen always smelled like fresh bread. My father told funny stories. My brother and I would laugh until our stomachs hurt. We were happy. We did not have much, but we had each other. We had love. That was enough. In that small town, there was a man. His name was Leo. Leo was not rich. He was not handsome like Richard. He was a simple man. He was a carpenter. He worked with wood. His hands were strong and a little rough, but they were kind hands. He built chairs and tables. He fixed broken things for people in our town. He did not have much money, but he had a big heart. His smile was warm. It was like the sun on a cold day. When he looked at me, his eyes were full of light. They were full of love. Leo and I grew up together. We were friends. Then we were more than friends. We would walk by the river. We held hands. He would listen to me for hours. I told him about my dreams. I wanted to be a painter. I wanted to paint the beautiful sky. He always encouraged me. He said, "Lily, you can do anything. Your paintings are beautiful, just like you." He brought me wildflowers, not expensive roses from a store, just simple, beautiful flowers he picked himself. They were more precious to me than any diamond. One day, he gave me a small gift. It was a little wooden bird. He carved it himself. The wood was smooth. The bird was small, but it was perfect. He said, "This bird is free, Lily. It can fly anywhere. I want you to be free too. Always follow your heart." I loved that little bird. I loved him. I thought we would be together forever. I thought our simple life would be our happy life. Then Richard came to our town. He came with his expensive car and his fancy clothes. His company wanted to build a big factory near our town. He was in charge. He came to our small cafe. I was working there part-time. He saw me. He smiled. It was a different kind of smile. It was not warm like Leo's smile. It was a confident smile. A smile that said, "I get what I want." He started talking to me. He asked me my name. He told me I was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. His words were smooth, like honey. He started coming to the cafe every day. He always left a big tip. He asked me to go to dinner with him. I said no at first. I loved Leo. But Richard was persistent. He did not give up. My parents saw him. They saw his big car. They heard he was a rich man from the city. My mother said, "Lily, he is a good man. He can give you a good life. A life without worry." My father said, "Leo is a good boy, but love is not enough to eat. Life is hard. Money makes it easier." I started to listen to them. I started to look at my own life. My hands were tired from working. My dress was old. I saw the pretty things in magazines. I wanted them. A small, dark part of me wanted the easy life. Richard promised me everything. He said, "You will never have to work again. You will live in a big house. You will travel the world. I will give you everything you desire." It was like a dream. A beautiful, shiny dream. Leo could only promise me his love. He promised me a simple life. A life of hard work, but also a life of happiness together. I had to choose. My heart said Leo. My heart screamed his name, but my mind was confused. My mind thought about the bills. My mind thought about my tired mother. My mind thought about the beautiful dresses. I wanted to help my family. I wanted an easy life. Is that so bad? I asked myself. I told myself that maybe I could learn to love Richard. Love can grow, right? I remember the day I told Leo. We were near the river, our special place. The sun was setting. The sky was orange and pink. It was beautiful, but I did not see the beauty. My heart was heavy. It felt like a stone in my chest. I told him I was going to marry Richard. I could not look at his face. I just stared at the ground. He was quiet for a long time. The only sound was the river. Then he said, "Why, Lily?" His voice was soft. It was full of pain. I finally looked at him. The light was gone from his eyes. They were just dark and sad. I saw tears in his eyes. It broke my heart. "I want a different life, Leo," I said. My voice was a whisper. He can give me a good life. A good life? He asked. Is a life without love a good life? I don't have much, Lily. But I would have given you all my heart. I would have worked hard every day to make you happy. Is that not enough? I started to cry. I knew he was right, but I was scared. I was young and foolish. I'm sorry, Leo, I said. I'm so sorry. I turned and walked away. That was the hardest thing I have ever done. Walking away from him felt like I was walking away from myself. It felt like I was leaving my own heart behind, sitting there by the river. The wedding was huge. It was like a party for a princess. There were hundreds of guests. Everyone was dressed in expensive clothes. The music was beautiful. The food was delicious. My dress was stunning. It was covered in lace and pearls. It cost more than my family's house. I looked like a bride from a movie. Everyone said, "You are so lucky, Lily. You are so beautiful." I smiled. I said thank you. But inside, I was searching. My eyes kept looking through the crowd. I was looking for him. I was looking for Leo. A small part of me hoped he would come. Maybe he would stop the wedding. Maybe he would tell me he still loved me. It was a silly, childish thought. Of course, he was not there. Why would he come to see me marry another man? Why would he want to see my big mistake? Richard stood beside me. He held my hand. His hand was cold. He smiled for the pictures. He said, "I love you," when the priest told him to. But when he looked at me, his eyes were not full of love. They were full of pride. He looked at me like I was a beautiful thing he had just bought. A new, shiny prize. At that moment, standing there in my expensive dress, I felt a deep, cold fear. I knew I was making a mistake, but it was too late. I said, "I do." And with those two words, I sealed my future. I chose the cage. The first few months of our marriage were a blur. We went on a long honeymoon. We visited beautiful places. Paris, Rome. The beaches were white. The water was blue. Everything was perfect. Richard bought me gifts every day. A new purse, a new necklace, a new dress. I took many pictures. In all the pictures, I am smiling. But it is not a real smile. If you look closely at my eyes, you can see the sadness. We came back to our new house. The big, empty house. Richard went back to work. His life was the same as before. He worked, he traveled, he went to parties with his rich friends. My life changed completely. I did not have a job. I did not have any friends in this big city. I had nothing to do. The days were so long. I would wake up in my big, soft bed. The house was silent. I would eat breakfast alone. The cook would make me anything I wanted. But I was never hungry. I tried to paint. Richard had a room made for me, a beautiful art studio. It had big windows and all the best paints and brushes. I would sit there for hours, in front of a blank canvas. But I could not paint. My heart felt empty. My mind felt blank. The colors all seemed gray. How can you paint a beautiful sky when you cannot feel the sun? I tried to talk to Richard. One night, he came home early. It was a surprise. I made a special dinner. I lit candles. I wanted it to be a nice evening. He sat at the table. He was looking at his phone. He was reading emails. "Richard," I said softly. "Can we talk?" He looked up. He seemed annoyed. "I'm busy, Lily. What is it?" "I feel lonely," I said. My voice was small. "I miss my family. I miss my friends. I have no one to talk to." He put his phone down. He sighed. "Lonely? How can you be lonely? You have this big house. You have all the money you need. You can go shopping. You can go to the spa. Many women would love to have your life." "I don't want to go shopping," I said. Tears were starting to form in my eyes. "I want to talk to you. I want to spend time with you." He looked at me like I was crazy. "I work hard, Lily. I work to give you this life. You should be grateful. You are being childish." He picked up his phone again. "The dinner is very good," he said, without looking at me. That was the end of our conversation. I went to my room and cried. I cried for the girl who laughed with her family. I cried for the girl who walked by the river, holding a warm, kind hand. I cried for the girl who dreamed of painting the sky. That girl was gone, and I had let her go. One day I felt very sick. My head hurt. I felt very cold. I stayed in bed all day. The house was silent. I felt so weak. I called Richard. He was in a meeting. "What's wrong, Lily? I'm busy." His voice was sharp. "I don't feel well," I said. "I think I have a fever," he sighed. I could hear other people talking in the background. "Call Dr. Evans," he said. "His number is on the list. I have to go." Then he hung up. He did not ask if I was okay. He did not say he would come home. He just told me to call a doctor. I lay in that big, empty bed, feeling sicker than before. My body was sick, but my heart was sicker. I felt so alone, so completely alone. And then I remembered something. I remembered a time years ago when I was sick. I had a bad cold. I had to stay home from work. Leo came to my house, my small, warm house. He brought me soup. His mother had made it. He sat with me all day. He told me stories. He read a book to me. He put a cool cloth on my forehead. He didn't have to do that. He had his own work to do. But he stayed. He stayed until I fell asleep. When I woke up, he was still there, sitting in a chair next to my bed. He smiled when I opened my eyes. "You are feeling better?" he asked. His voice was so gentle. In that moment, I felt so loved. I felt so safe. Lying in my expensive silk sheets, in my huge, cold mansion, I cried. I cried for that simple bowl of soup. I cried for that gentle voice. I cried for the love that I had thrown away. The diamonds on my nightstand could not comfort me. The money in my bank account could not make me feel warm. I realized that I was poorer now than I had ever been in my life. I had everything, and I had nothing. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into a year. My life was a routine, a sad, empty routine. I would wake up alone. I would eat alone. I would walk through my empty house. I would look out the window at my perfect garden. I felt like one of the flowers in that garden, beautiful on the outside, planted in a perfect spot, but with no freedom, no purpose, just there to look pretty. One afternoon, I asked the driver to take me for a ride. I didn't want to go shopping. I didn't want to go to a fancy cafe. I just wanted to drive. We were driving through a part of the city I had never seen before. It was a simple neighborhood. The houses were smaller. There were children playing on the street. It reminded me a little of my old town. And then I saw him. It was Leo. My heart stopped. It just stopped for a second. He was walking out of a small shop. It was a hardware store. He was wearing his work clothes. They were simple jeans and a shirt. He was holding a small bag. He looked older, just a little. But his smile was the same. It was the same warm, beautiful smile. He was not alone. A woman was with him. She was pretty, not in a fancy way. She had kind eyes and a happy laugh. She said something to him. He laughed. It was a real, happy laugh. The sound of it reached me even through the car window. He put his arm around her. She leaned her head on his shoulder. They looked so happy. They looked so right together. They walked down the street together. They looked like they belonged to each other. I told the driver to stop the car. I just watched them until they turned a corner and disappeared. I felt a pain in my chest. It was so sharp. It was hard to breathe. It was not jealousy. It was something deeper. It was regret. A regret so big it filled up my whole body. He was happy. He had moved on. He had found someone. He had the life he was supposed to have. A simple, happy life. A life filled with real laughter and real love. And I was stuck. I was stuck in my golden cage, watching the real world from a distance. That night, I waited for Richard to come home. I had to talk to him. I had to tell him how I felt. I couldn't live like this anymore. He came home very late. He looked tired and angry. He had a bad day at work. It was not a good time. But I had to speak. "Richard, we need to talk," I said. I tried to make my voice strong. "Not now, Lily. I'm not in the mood." He loosened his tie. He walked towards the bar to pour himself a drink. "No, now," I said. I stood in front of him. "I am not happy, Richard. I am miserable." He stopped. He looked at me. His blue eyes were cold as ice. "Miserable? You are miserable. Do you have any idea how much this life costs? I work day and night to give you all of this." He waved his hand around the huge room. "And you say you are miserable. You are so ungrateful. These things don't make me happy." I was shouting now. I couldn't stop myself. The words just came out. "This house is not a home. It's a prison. You are never here. And when you are here, you don't see me. You see a doll that you dress in expensive clothes. I am not a doll, Richard. I am a person. I have a heart, and my heart is breaking." He just stared at me. He was not angry anymore. He was just blank. There was no emotion on his face. "What do you want, Lily? What more could you possibly want?" "I want love," I whispered. "I want a husband who talks to me, who holds my hand, who asks me about my day. I want a partner. I want a friend." He laughed. It was a short, bitter laugh. "Love. You are talking about love. You chose me, Lily. You chose this life. You chose the money. Don't pretend now that you wanted something else." He finished his drink. "If you are unhappy, go shopping. Buy a new car. That usually makes you feel better." He walked past me and went upstairs to his bedroom. We had separate bedrooms. We always had. I stood there in the middle of the big, empty room. The silence came back. But this time, it was different. It was not just quiet. It was heavy. It was the sound of the end. He was right. I had chosen this. I had made my choice. I chose the rich man. I chose the easy life. And now I was living with my mistake. A few days later, I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I went back to my hometown. I didn't tell Richard. I just got on a train. I needed to see it again. I needed to remember who I was. The town looked the same. The small houses, the old trees, the river. I walked to the river, to our special place. I sat on the grass. I remembered Leo's face. I remembered his sad eyes. I felt the pain of that day all over again. I walked past my old house. Another family lived there now. I saw a little girl playing in the yard. She was laughing. My heart ached. I walked to the town square. I saw some of my old friends. They were sitting outside the cafe. The same cafe where I met Richard. They saw me. They waved. I went and sat with them. They were happy to see me. They asked me about my life in the city. "It must be so exciting," one of them said. "You are living a dream." I just smiled. What could I say? Could I tell them that my dream was a nightmare? Could I tell them that I was lonelier in my big mansion than I ever was in our small town? No, I could not. So I lied. I told them my life was wonderful. I told them Richard was a good husband. They talked about their lives. They had simple jobs. They were married to simple men. They had children. They talked about small problems. The baby was sick. The car needed fixing. But they were laughing. They were together. They were community. They had each other. I sat there in my designer clothes, feeling like an outsider. I did not belong here anymore. But I did not belong in the city either. I did not belong anywhere. Before I left, I went to my old room at my parents' new, smaller house they bought with Richard's money. I opened an old box. Inside, under some old letters, was the little wooden bird. The one Leo made for me. I picked it up. It felt so small and light in my hand. I held it tight. The wood was still smooth. I traced the shape of its wings with my finger. I remembered his words. "This bird is free, Lily. I want you to be free too." Tears streamed down my face. I cried for a long time. I cried for my mistake, for my foolishness, for my lost love, for my lost self. I was not free. I was in a cage, a beautiful golden cage. But a cage is still a cage. When I got back to the city, I knew things had to change. I could not live like this anymore. I could not wait for Richard to change. He would never change. I could not wait for happiness to find me. I had to find it myself. I went to my art studio, the room I had not used for so long. I opened the windows. I let the fresh air in. I looked at the blank canvas. For the first time, I felt a small spark, a small desire to paint. I didn't know what to paint, so I just started. I put color on the canvas. Blue, yellow, red. I just let my feelings flow onto the canvas. It was not a beautiful picture. It was messy. It was dark in some places and bright in others. It was a painting of my heart, a painting of my pain and my regret. But it was something. It was a start. I started painting every day. It was my secret, my small act of freedom. In that room, I was not Richard's wife. I was just Lily, the girl who loved to paint. I started painting the things I remembered, the river from my hometown, the wildflowers Leo used to give me. I painted the warm smile of my father and the kind eyes of my mother. My paintings were not perfect, but they were real. They were honest, and they made me feel alive. I also started walking. I would walk for hours in the city parks. I watched the people. I watched families playing together. I watched old couples holding hands. I saw so much love, so much simple, everyday happiness. It made me sad, but it also gave me hope. Hope that happiness was real. Hope that maybe, one day, I could find it again. I do not know what the future holds for me. My story with Richard is not over. Leaving him is not easy. My life is complicated, but something inside me has changed. I am no longer just waiting. I am no longer just sad. I am starting to find myself again. The girl I lost a long time ago. I still live in the big house. I still wear the nice clothes. But now, when I look in the mirror, I see a little bit of myself again. I see a little strength in my eyes, a little hope. The regret is still there. It is a part of me now. It is a scar on my heart, but it is also a lesson. A hard lesson, a painful lesson. I learned that money cannot buy happiness. It cannot buy love. It cannot buy a warm hand to hold when you are sick. I learned that a simple life with love is the richest life of all. I had that life. I had that love. And I let it go. That is my great regret. Maybe you are young. Maybe you have a choice to make. A choice between love and money. A choice between a simple path and an easy path. Please listen to your heart. Do not make my mistake. A full wallet is a nice thing, but a full heart is everything. True wealth is not in a big house. It is in a happy home. You can do this. You can find true happiness. It is okay to be scared, but be brave. Be honest with yourself. Choose love. Always choose love. I hope one day I will be brave enough to choose it too. I hope one day I will be free, just like that little wooden bird.